It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Do you still believe the world is flat, Mr. Bolivar?
Yes, sir, I do.
From dark secrets to shocking mysteries, these conspiracy theories have left their mark on history and continue to ignite fierce debates. I'm James Hanson, and today we're diving into the most controversial conspiracy theories that have captivated millions, challenged beliefs, and in some cases, changed the world. These aren't just rumours, they're stories that shaped history, fueled by suspicion, intrigue, and unanswered questions. So, buckle up as we unravel the truth, or maybe just the legend, behind the world's most notorious conspiracies. Welcome to our countdown of the top 10 most controversial conspiracy theories of all time. Alright, starting off our countdown is the conspiracy theory that the Great Fire of London, which ravaged the city in 1666, was actually caused by arson. Now, officially, the fire started in a bakery on Pudding Lane and was believed to have spread rapidly due to dry conditions and flammable timber buildings. However, some theorists argue that the fire may have been intentionally set, either as a political manoeuvre or for financial gain. One theory posits that the fire was orchestrated by the government or the monarchy to create a diversion from political and economic problems. In the aftermath of the fire, large areas of the city were rebuilt, leading to speculation that certain influential figures may have had a vested interest in the land's redevelopment. Another hypothesis suggests foreign involvement, possibly by French or Dutch agents, who might have seen it as an opportunity to weaken England during a time of heightened tensions. However, there is little historical evidence to support these claims. Most scholars agree that the fire was a tragic accident, exacerbated by the city's dense wooden architecture. Despite this, the theory that the Great Fire was started deliberately remains a part of London's rich lore, blending historical fact with speculative fiction. Up next, it's the conspiracy theory that the Titanic did not sink by accident after a tragic collision with an iceberg, but rather it was part of a deliberate scheme. One of the most popular versions of this theory posits that the Titanic sinking was orchestrated for financial or insurance purposes. Proponents claim that JP Morgan, the American financier who owned the White Star Line, intentionally sank the ship to collect insurance money. Some even argue that the ship's sister vessel, the Olympic, was secretly swapped with the Titanic just before the voyage, as the Olympic was already damaged and less valuable. Another variation of this theory suggests that the sinking was a means to eliminate certain influential passengers, notably John Jacob Astor, Isidor Straus and Benjamin Guggenheim, who were opposed to the creation of the Federal Reserve. Now, this idea connects the Titanic disaster with the broader economic and political shifts of the early 20th century. Despite the intrigue, there is no credible evidence supporting these claims. The sinking of the Titanic, which occurred in April 1912, is widely attributed to a combination of human error, poor decision-making, and an unpredicted iceberg collision. Nonetheless, the theory persists, fueled by mystery, intrigue, and skepticism about the official narrative. Moving on now to number 8, and it's time to talk about Roswell. Now, the Roswell UFO incident of 1947 is one of the most famous events in UFO lore, sparking numerous conspiracy theories about extraterrestrial life and government cover-ups. The incident began when a mysterious object crashed near Roswell in New Mexico, leading to initial reports that a flying disc had been recovered. The US military quickly issued a press release claiming the object was a weather balloon, but this explanation fueled widespread speculation and doubts. Conspiracy theories about the crash gained traction in the 1970s and beyond, with some suggesting the object was an alien spacecraft that the government tried to cover up. According to these theories, the military recovered alien bodies from the wreckage and engaged in a cover-up to prevent public panic and to study extraterrestrial technology in secret. Some proponents also claim that eyewitnesses have been silenced or threatened to keep the truth from getting out. Another theory suggests the incident was linked to secret military experiments such as Project Mogul, a top-secret project involving high-altitude balloons to detect Soviet nuclear tests, what some believe was misidentified as a UFO. Despite decades of official denials and investigations, including a 1997 Pentagon report, Roswell continues to be a focal point for UFO enthusiasts, remaining an enduring mystery. In at number 7, it's chemtrails. Now, chemtrail conspiracy theories claim that contrails left behind in aircraft are actually chemical or biological agents deliberately sprayed into the atmosphere for various sinister purposes. Proponents argue that these trails, which appear as long white streaks in the sky, are not just condensation, but part of a covert program by governments or shadow organisations. Some of the most common theories suggest the trails are used for weather manipulation, mind control, population control, or even to combat global warming by altering the climate. The idea gained traction in the late 1990s when some noticed unusual patterns in contrail persistence and behaviour. Unlike regular contrails, which dissipate quickly, chemtrails are believed by conspiracy theorists to linger for hours, spreading into large, hazy clouds. Some suggest that the chemicals involved could be toxins or heavy metals, potentially linked to increased respiratory problems, neurological disorders, or environmental damage. Despite extensive debunking by scientists who explain that these trails are simply water vapour condensed from engine exhaust at high altitudes, chemtrail theories remain popular. Various government agencies, including NASA and the US Environmental Protection Agency, have repeatedly stated that chemtrails do not exist, dismissing the claims as unfounded. However, the conspiracy continues to captivate many, fueled by distrust in official narratives and the complexity of global environmental issues.
All of us were taught in the grade schools that this earth is the shape of an orange, a sphere, and it has many terrible motions. I reject this theory because there is not a single fact in the universe to prove it. I hold that the earth is a stationary plane, which is proven by the fact that all bodies of water undisturbed by wind are level, and that with the naked eye, objects at a distance of 80 to 100 miles have been plainly seen, which would be impossible if the earth were a globe.
OK, at number 6 now is the flat Earth theory. Now, this conspiracy asserts that the Earth is not a sphere as widely accepted by science, but rather a flat disc-shaped object. This theory has been around for centuries, but gained renewed attention in recent years, particularly through social media and internet forums. Flat Earth proponents argue that the evidence supporting a round Earth, such as satellite imagery, the horizon's curvature, and the way gravity works, is either fabricated or misinterpreted. They claim that space agencies, particularly NASA, are involved in a massive cover-up to conceal the true nature of the Earth. One of the most popular beliefs among flat earthers is that the horizon always appears flat, regardless of altitude, and that aeroplanes and ships navigate using flat maps. They also suggest that the Earth's oceans are contained by a giant ice wall, often equated with Antarctica, which prevents people from falling off the edge. Some even claim that space travel is a hoax and that photos of Earth from space are digitally manipulated. While the flat Earth theory has been debunked by centuries of scientific evidence, including astronomical observations, physics and satellite data, it continues to attract followers who view mainstream science with skepticism. The theory plays into broader conspiracy-minded thinking and distrust of authoritative institutions. OK, we're halfway through our list now, and it's time to talk about one of the most famous assassinations in history. The death of Julius Caesar on the Ides of March in 44 BC is one of the most famous assassinations in history, and yet it's also sparked various conspiracy theories and debates about the true motives behind the murder. Caesar was stabbed 23 times by a group of Roman senators, including some of his closest allies, led by Brutus and Cassius. Now, while historians traditionally describe the act as a political manoeuvre to preserve the Roman Republic, alternative theories suggest deeper, hidden motives. One theory argues that Caesar's assassination was not simply about protecting the Republic from Caesar's increasing power, but rather part of a larger plot to prevent him becoming a tyrant or even a godlike figure. Some believe the conspirators feared Caesar's ambition to declare himself king, challenging the traditional Roman values of republicanism. Others suggest that the Senate's plot may have been fueled by personal grievances, as many of the assassins stood to gain politically or financially from Caesar's death. Another conspiracy posits that Caesar's death was orchestrated by powerful factions within Rome, including the wealthy elite who feared that Caesar's reforms threatened their privileges. These theories highlight the intrigue and power struggles of Rome's final days, suggesting that Caesar's murder may have been part of a broader scheme for control. And number 4, it's the New World Order. This theory suggests that a secret, powerful elite is conspiring to establish a totalitarian global government. According to proponents, this shadowy organisation, often identified as the Illuminati, controls world events, governments, corporations and media to manipulate societies and create a single, unified world order under their control. The Illuminati is often portrayed as a cabal of influential figures, politicians, bankers, celebrities and other elites, working behind the scenes to undermine national sovereignty and individual freedoms. Key events such as major wars, economic crises and political upheavals are seen as orchestrated by the Illuminati to further their agenda. Some claim the group is involved in manipulating currencies, creating surveillance states, or even fostering societal division to weaken resistance to their global control. The theory is also tied to the idea of the New World Order, a future society where traditional national borders and governments are replaced by a global authoritarian regime. Theories often cite symbols like the all-seeing eye on the US dollar, or claims of secret societies such as the Freemasons as evidence of the Illuminati's influence. Despite being widely debunked by experts and dismissed as pseudo-history, these conspiracy theories remain persistent, often fueled by mistrust in authority, social changes and global events.
Columbia, this is Houston, reading you loud and clear, over.
Yeah, reading you loud and clear. How's it going?
Roger, the EVA is progressing beautifully. They're setting up the flag now.
All right, we're into our top 3 now, so let's talk about whether the moon landing of 1969 was a hoax. Now, this conspiracy theory claims that the United States faked the Apollo 11 mission to assert dominance in the space race during the Cold War. According to this theory, NASA staged the landing with the help of the US government and various experts to deceive the world into believing that they had successfully landed astronauts on the moon. Proponents of the hoax theory argue that the evidence presented by NASA, such as photos, videos and telemetry data, was fabricated or manipulated. They point to alleged anomalies, such as the flag appearing to wave in the vacuum of space, the absence of stars in the photos and inconsistencies in shadow patterns, suggesting that the moon landing was filmed on a soundstage, perhaps in a remote desert or in a studio. Some also claim that the US government staged the landings to distract from domestic issues, or to claim victory over the Soviet Union in the space race. Despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary, including thousands of photos, physical samples from the moon, and third-party tracking of the Apollo missions, the conspiracy theory persists. Skeptics often cite mistrust of government agencies and the complexity of the achievement as reasons for the enduring belief in the hoax. In at number 2, it's the conspiracies around 9/11. Now, these claim that the terrorist attacks on September the 11th, 2001 were either an inside job orchestrated by the US government, or the key parties within the government allowed the attacks to happen as part of a broader agenda. These theories emerged almost immediately after the events, fueled by perceived inconsistencies in the official narrative and growing public distrust of the government. One of the most popular theories is that the World Trade Center towers, and later Building 7, were brought down by controlled demolition rather than by the impact of the hijacked planes and the subsequent fires. Supporters of this theory argue that the manner in which the buildings collapsed, particularly the near freefall speed, suggests a deliberate demolition. Others claim that the Pentagon attack was a missile strike, not a plane crash, that the government staged the event to justify military interventions abroad. Another theory suggests that certain US officials had prior knowledge of the attacks and allowed them to happen to justify launching the war on terror, invading Afghanistan and expanding government surveillance powers. These conspiracies are often linked to suspicions about the Bush administration's motives, including securing oil resources and expanding military control. Despite investigations, including the 9/11 Commission report, these theories remain popular among a vocal minority, fueled by distrust of government and the complexities of the attacks.
A dark page in the annals of America has been written to the crack of an assassin's bullet. A nation mourns, the world grieves. The man who became 35th president less than 3 years ago is dead.
And taking our top spot on this list is the assassination of JFK. The killing of President John F. Kennedy on the 22nd of November 1963 in Dallas, Texas, remains one of the most scrutinized events in US history, with numerous conspiracy theories surrounding it. Officially, Lee Harvey Oswald was blamed for shooting and killing Kennedy from the Texas School Book Depository, but many believe Oswald did not act alone, if at all. One of the most prominent theories is that a second gunman was involved, often cited as being on the grassy knoll near the motorcade. Witnesses claim to have heard shots from different directions, fueling speculation of a coordinated attack. Another theory points to the CIA or FBI, suggesting that Kennedy was targeted due to his handling of Cold War tensions, especially after the failed Bay of Pigs invasion and the Cuban Missile Crisis. Some theorists argue that these agencies may have viewed him as a liability or feared his attempts at diplomacy with the Soviet Union. Other conspiracies implicate the mafia, claiming that organised crime figures sought revenge for the Kennedy administration's crackdown on the mafia, or that business and political elites were involved, wanting to remove Kennedy due to his policies on civil rights or Vietnam. Despite official investigations, including the Warren Commission, which concluded that Oswald did act alone, these theories persist, fueled by mistrust in the government and unexplained details surrounding the assassination. So there we go. That wraps up our list of the top 10 most controversial conspiracies in history. As ever, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to our channel, Times Radio History, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.